Food Service Power Plant Network. What's up? It's Monday night. I am beyond excited to be back with you. It has been, we were off last week because of, I think I got a cold or something. And I was coughing up a lung and I didn't want to have a bad conversation with someone and make it me like snotting all over the camera. That would have been lovely. It is great to be with you. I love that we're in a new year. I love the beginnings of New Year's. And there's so much fun stuff getting ready. We're getting ready to hopefully some of you gather at MOFC coming up. So hopefully I'll get to see so many friends I haven't seen in a long time. And it's just good to start new. And I know there's some uniqueness back out there and everything going on, but you know what? We'll continue to do it together. We'll continue to find what's good. Tonight is Chris Reeves is joining us. Chris is from the Middleby Group, particularly Southbend and the Crown Steam Group. And he's going to tell us about his journey. And he is someone who he's had a few different roles in the industry throughout his awesome career where he's got to affect a lot of people in a lot of great ways. And it's fun. I was telling him earlier, like just looking on LinkedIn when I post these, it's always fun to see reactions by the industry when a guest comes on. And it's evident Chris has affected a lot of people. Chris is huge. I mean, in addition to what he does, he's a family man. He volunteers a ton in his community through something called Lions Club. We're going to talk about that. And one of his big passions is helping people like dealing with food insecurities in the world and food waste and things of that nature. And he is a student of that and someone who, of course, always when we become passionate about something, there's almost always a story there as well. So we're going to hear a lot about that from Chris tonight. Remember, a couple of things. First, welcome. Super glad to see you. Secondly, you are always welcome to type in any questions in here or comments. If you want to say, Chris, what's up? And give him a virtual fist bump, you can do that. You can ask Chris a question and we'll get to it. We'll bring it up on the screen and he'll answer it. The other thing I would also recommend is grab a notepad and a pen. Boom, notepad, a pen. Chris is inevitably going to have things that he shares tonight that will be helpful in your journey, in your story. Things that he's learned that maybe you need to learn, maybe you're prepared to learn, or lessons he's experienced or people he's met, things that will be helpful to you. Remember, the whole purpose of these conversations is that I believe that success leaves clues. Chris is a leader in our industry. He's had an incredible experience, an incredible journey, and there's things he's carried with him that will be helpful for you and yours. So grab a notepad and pen and write some of those things down. We're going to have a great next hour together. Everybody, let's go find the man, the myth, Chris.
Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm great, brother. How the heck are you?
Great. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that.
Gosh, thanks so much for giving us some time tonight. I'm so excited that we get to learn more of your story.
Well, thank you. I was looking forward to it. It's probably one of the bright spots of the day.
So. Oh, I love it. I think we're going to have fun. Tell me, for anyone who doesn't know you, who's watching tonight, what is some of your journey? What's your career journey? You know, where are you at now? Like, how'd you get to where you are? And kind of what was your journey along the way?
Yeah, so kind of an interesting path. So I'm from a long line of people in the hospitality industry. My grandfather owned a tavern in Wisconsin. My parents were involved in the restaurant industry. I worked very closely with them in the younger years, kind of cutting my teeth, if you will, in that side of the business. Left the industry for a short period, okay. Worked retail. My mother came to me and said, I know you enjoy the hospitality industry. It's been a really good, it created a lot of great opportunity for a family. However, it's really tough to raise a family. And she recommended that I leave the industry for a lot of great opportunities. So I actually did, worked retail, kind of fast forward, wasn't very rewarding. So I went into food distribution, worked for Rykoff Sexton, food distributor, and well, they're all over the country. Then ultimately Cisco, worked there, met my wife there. My wife's worked at Cisco for 30 years. I worked there for about 11 years before I left. Then went into traditional food service equipment sales and distribution. So 1999, when the conglomerates were all happening, Strategic came around. I was asked to join that organization, worked as a traditional dealer, worked with a couple dealers during that time frame. Then ultimately went over to manufacturing and then spent a short period of time with a buying group, working as the person who kind of managed the programs on the factory side, and then went back into the manufacturing side, being whether it be a regional, or now I'm responsible for sales and that direction of the brands I manage for Middleby. So.
Wow, it's so cool to have so many in the role that you're in now, to have so many different perspectives. I mean, you're with a manufacturer now, but you've been with a buying group. You were a dealer. I mean, I assume that helps you know how to connect with those different groups in the role that you're in now.
Yeah, it's interesting. My career spans, gosh, I didn't even put a pen to paper, but what is it? It's 20, 30 years, right? 28, 30 years in that time frame. The problems are the same, right? In the industry, how do we make people's lives a little bit easier so they can make a living in a relatively challenged environment, whether it be a labor pool, the current challenges that we have in distribution comes around, the supply chain crisis that we're all in now. But nothing has necessarily really changed, but it allows me to kind of really reflect on what it was like when I was a dealer. So when somebody calls me and says, I've got this problem, I can remember being in that situation with them. And I can remember how strong I felt about fixing, that situation. So it challenges me to be more creative than perhaps I would have been if I hadn't had that experience as a dealer.
I love it. I think creativity is a huge, huge asset in what we're all doing. Coming up with solutions that aren't right in front of our face, going through the side door, whatever it is, thinking together. Who's here? Look at this. This is, you don't see his name, but it's Joe Riccardi. Joe, thanks for your service, friend.
Yeah. Joe, great to see you.
Gosh, we hope you're doing great. Who else is here? We've got, this one is Samantha Flores.
Yeah, nice.
Hi, Samantha. This is awesome. And the unbelievable Zena Dater is in the house.
Oh, yeah, great. Perfect.
Very exciting to hear Chris's story. Hi, Zena. Hi, Joe. Hi, Samantha, Quentin, Nathan, Harrison. So many friends here. It's great to see you guys. Chris, let's go to one of our first, it seems like a really important question. Talk to us about the sea otter. This was a question in the group from Miss Alyssa. What's the deal with the sea otter and you, Chris?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So when I was with the buying group, we were in a meeting and the board of directors were there, and there was the chief financial officer, Chris Tranchetti was his name, was sitting right next to me. And somebody across the table said, "Hey, Chris, what are your thoughts on this?" And we both kind of looked at each other and said, "Which Chris?" And this person who's never met me before said, "What do they call you?" They pointed to me. I said, "Well, they call me CR." And the guy's like, "What? They call you Sea Otter?" I'm like, no, they call me CR. And they're like, "Oh no, that's sticking." So my nickname was Sea Otter, and I've gotten gifts over the years of Sea Otter. I've gotten pictures like this one here in my office of the Sea Otter. So I've enjoyed that and wear that badge of honor very well. So
that is awesome. I love it. I love this. Look at this. Joe Carcione's in the house. Yo, Joe.
Good Joe, thanks for joining us. I know football must have been a tough decision between this and football, so I appreciate that.
Joe's got us on the laptop and football on the big screen. Inevitably, I bet that's what's happening. Joe, well played. I'm sure you are. Zena says he helped me with so many challenges.
Thank you.
I love it. Joe wants to know when you're buying him dinner, by the way. Soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And then Quentin, this is our buddy Quentin Webb. No matter which arm of the industry one is in, we are all in service to others. Solutions. That's the cornerstone of what we all do. Quentin, I would agree, buddy. We are all serving others. Chris, Middleby has such a positive energy. You can feel it from the people, from the messaging, social media stuff. Tell me what you love about your work.
Yeah, so thanks for noticing that. We work very hard at that. Um, there's many things I'm so lucky to work with a group of great leaders. I learn something every day from everybody I work with. But here's what it really boils down to. I mean, name another industry where you get to work and help all of your friends.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just the bottom line, right? One of the struggles I had when I was with the buying group is I couldn't work with all of my friends because, I worked with who was in your group, right? Now I get a chance to transcend the entire industry, and I get to work with all my friends from coast to coast, whether it be on the dealer side, whether it's sharing stories like we've done at conferences. That's really what gets me excited is being able to work with all my friends and helping them with their challenges. Um, you know, this industry isn't exactly a perfectly easy industry. There's a lot of demands put on people, and those who kind of come up with solutions to make somebody's day a little bit easier, a little bit brighter. Um, those are the stars you need to hang on. And I strive to try and do that every day. Not perfect, but like you asked me earlier, how was my day? My day was great. I got to help a few more people than than I hoped to when I started out in the day. I'm just very thankful that I get to work with all my friends.
Gosh, I love it. Have you, this wasn't in our questions, but you seem so relational. You get, what you love. It seems similar to me and what I love. You get to work with your friends, people you care about. Has it always been about the relationship for you?
Um,
Maybe I'm extrapolating there, but
no, that's
it's,
actually a really good question. So I'll kind of reflect on something. There's a point in my life where I met a really important person to me. And I didn't realize how important that person was until he was no longer with me. He didn't pass or anything else. We just grew apart, right? And I vowed to myself I would never do that again. So, and I'll tell you who the person is. This is kind of funny. So, probably the best learnings I ever had was in a dish room, okay, of a restaurant. So, 12, 13 years old, working with my parents. I was too young to have an official job, but I was able to float around anywhere in the restaurant. And I had really two choices at 12, 13 years old. I could be a bus person, or I could work in the back of the house, and I can't cook. I truly can't cook. So, and it was a white tablecloth restaurant. So the reality was they weren't coming to eat my food. So I met and spent a lot of time with the dishwasher. His name was Victor. Victor was an immigrant who came to Mexico, and I learned more from that man working with him in a dish room than anyone else. And when I left the industry, Victor went back to Mexico, and I never connected with Victor. So I kind of always regret that. So I said to myself, I'll never miss an opportunity to stay connected. Now, I'm still practicing that, right? We've got family commitments, I got volunteer commitments, got work commitments. So I'm not perfect at it. But every day I think about all my friends and try and reconnect. So occasionally you'll get a random text from me. What's up? Something along those lines. And then, I'll tell you that probably, and if this is going to sound strange, one of the greatest things that came out of COVID was I don't travel anymore. So now I have more hours to talk to my friends in the industry than ever before. I reconnected with a lot of people that I was growing apart from in the industry because of the work challenges.
Yeah.
So just that slowing down a little bit allowed me to reconnect and spend some time with people I really care about.
I love that you found the good in that. And I relate to that. There's so much good. As hard as COVID's been, certainly
Yeah.
there's been an incredible reflection time and what really matters. And you're right. If you do have extra time that you're not on planes and then you're not catching up from time on planes and all of that stuff, you really do get more conversations and more time to connect and still do some business too, oftentimes. I love it. I love it. When you aren't working and you're not with your family, that's hugely important to you. What do you do for you that recharges your batteries? What fills you back up, whether it's a hobby or something like that?
So I got two things. One, I merged my family into it, which is my volunteer work. But if there's one thing that's just like my thing, I've always been a car guy. So I love classic cars, restoring cars, driving cars, racing cars. So I have a hobby in that field, but that's just me, right? Um, and I've got my car friends, and things like that. But the thing that really recharges me the most is when I joined the Lions. And the Lions is a really interesting organization. It's a worldwide organization. They have 5 pillars they really strive for, and they focus on global causes like diabetes, okay, environment, hunger, vision, and childhood cancer. So those are the 5 focuses. And then each organization or each club, if you will, um, has its own kind of focus, right? So they strive for those 5, but then they have kind of like offshoots. So my wife and I are in the Lions. I'm actually on the board of the local chapter here. It's a non-political organization that really is designed to give back to the community. So my passion, believe it or not a lot of people know this, is I'm involved in pumpkin mania. So in the fall, we plant and grow pumpkins, and then we sell those pumpkins to the community. And from that, we raise money to give back to the local food shelf or the women's shelter or to the eye bank in Minnesota for people that need corneal transplants. So all this money goes back to the community. It's a very amazing organization. So.
Wow, Chris, how did you get connected with that? I mean, how did you find that?
So it was kind of funny. So when I was traveling a lot, I'd come home on weekends, and that Saturday and Sundays were really important to me. So I'd focus on my wife and my son, and we go to dinners and things like that. But I really, it was great. I'd spend a couple hours with them. We'd have a nice meal. We'd kind of reconnect. But it was, we weren't giving anything back, right? We were there. Sure, we were writing a check to someone who was serving us, and we, tipped them, all those other things, but we didn't impact somebody's life. So I talked to my wife about this. I said, look, I want to join this club called the Lions. And oh, by the way, I signed you up too. And she's like, what? So I signed her for the Lions. And we do volunteer work together. So on weekends, we'd replace going out to dinner with doing volunteer work. And that was a lot more exciting. And to this day, and she runs a couple programs. I run a couple programs for the Lions. I run the blood program through Red Cross for the Lions. Do the liaison for the food shelf with my wife, who's also liaison there. And that she does the peace poster where she goes to the schools and talks to kids about drawing posters, and then we choose and make a donation for that child's education. She does the dictionary program where we get third graders dictionaries. Believe it or not, people still actually love a dictionary. So all those things, generated from the revenues that we created selling pumpkins and things like that. So.
Wow, how awesome. How many pumpkins did you grow last year? And did you grow them in your backyard?
So, no, we didn't grow in backyard. So we have a person that we call a friend of a lion, and he gave us a plot of land. He's a gentleman farmer. He gave us a plot of land. We harvested, it was the largest harvest ever. We sold a little bit over 2,000 pumpkins. And we netted about $10,000 from that one event. See, our club is a relatively older club.
Okay.
and we needed a low impact, high traction fundraiser. So years ago, the Pumpkin Mania was started, and it was a community event. So we just kind of continue on the tradition, and that's where you find us in September.
Oh, Chris, I love it, man. It's look at our buddy Chris Jeans is in the house. How great is it to listen to Jason Wange and Chris Reeves chat together? Rhetorical question. It's fantastic. Pumpkins. Heck yes, pumpkins for the win, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, good to see you, brother.
Pumpkins. So
I love how committed you are to that and how much it means to you, and that you as a family made a decision. Let's shift how we're spending our time, and do something that feels a little bit more meaningful and that we can still do together. I think it's beautiful.
thank you.
I'm going to go to another question that came up in the group today when we posted, Chris Reeves is coming on. What do you want to know? This was from our buddy Jason Hartman.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Jason asked, Chris, what is the best career advice that you've been given in your career?
So that's actually a great one. Thanks for asking it. But I'm going to kind of expand it, not just say career. It's actually probably some of the best advice I ever had.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. Someone pulled me aside once and said, Chris, you talk too much. And at first I was like, wow, that's kind of a powerful statement. He said, listen. And he said, no, really listen. Listen to what's going on with a person and then help them come up and create solutions. Don't sell, come up with solutions. And it took me a while to really figure that out because I took offense right away. I'm like, wow, you talk too much. I'm a salesperson. I have to talk. And he said, stop being a salesperson and start being a solution provider. And that's one thing that, not to, talk too much about the brand Southbend and Crown, but that's one thing that every time that we introduce a product, that's one of the first questions I always asked. What solution is this going to, what problem is this going to solve? How does this, solve or create a solution for whether it be the dealer, the end user of it? What does it do? And that's important. But that was probably the best advice anybody ever gave me was just stop selling and listen.
About when was that in your career? Do you remember?
So I do remember. It was in the 90s. And I will tell you, I still haven't mastered it. Sure. I still talk too much. I talk too early, talk too fast. People have amazing stories if you listen to them. But we're so fast at what we do because we have to be right there with the answers right away. And I've learned over the years, don't worry about the one that talks all the time. Worry about the one who listens all the time, because that's probably the smartest person in the room.
Got it. Wow. I love it. This is, I think listening, and you're right, it's so much what we do. If we're just selling for the sake of hearing our voice or trying to, move another oven or plate or chafing dish or whatever it is. But when you're solving people's challenges, when you can listen to them and what is creating them pain, not only do you give them something that's probably best for them, but you're caring for them. It feels so much more meaningful when you're helping relieve someone's pain or insecurity in a moment or whatever that is.
Yeah.
I love this. This is our buddy, Danny Monet. Danny, what's up, brother?
Yeah. Great to see you. Thanks for joining.
One of the good guys. Great to see you, Chris. Bolton. Chris is a solutionary at heart.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you.
Well, I love it. And you might have just taught me a new word. I don't know that I knew that was...
I'm going to steal that word.
Yeah, solutionary. It's a noun.
Yeah.
That's so great. Mark Haney. Mark, what's up, brother? One of Chris's greatest strengths, listening. Back in the day when I purchased from Chris, he always took the time to listen to what I needed.
Oh, good. Thank you. Not perfect at it. I still got a lot of work to do, but I try and get better every day.
Well, we're always growing for sure. And who's this? Chris under Mark House.
Oh, yeah.
Mark up at Culinex, right?
Yeah.
Mark, hey brother, Chris understands our industry. Enjoy our friendship for more years than I care to share.
I still remember the probably my most interesting time with Mark is we were stuck in an airport in Las Vegas, coming back from a conference with a group he was with, and it was a good time, but it was we were there way too long. Let's just leave it at that.
Sure. Oh man, those do make for good stories. Quentin Webb. Quentin, what's up, buddy? You build a true relationship with customers with that method. Fly by night industries only make one sell. It's just the right way to do business.
Yeah.
Quentin, well said. Yeah, we're not in a sell it and move on industry. We are in a relationship. We're in the long haul together in this journey business for sure. I like that perspective. Okay, in the last 5 years, is there a belief, a new belief, behavior, or habit that you've sort of integrated in your life that's been most impactful?
So that's interesting. I went from there's a period in my career where I was a little selfish. It was more about me than it was about others because I felt I needed to advance quickly, and I learned that um, if you can be really good at what you do, but if you're not honest to who and what you serve, you won't advance. So I stopped pushing and really started trying to give back. Okay. Um, and part of it was that was about the time that I really got involved with the Lions and I started spending time in kind of food insecurity space. To me, that's, of the five pillars, that's the most important one is hunger. We've all missed a meal, right? But can you imagine missing a meal because you don't think you can afford? You have to make choice, right? Do I put gas in my car or do I get a meal? Do I pay my rent or can I get some food? And it's incredible when you have to make those choices. So my behavior change was to give back more than I took from the industry. And that's when I really got involved in food insecurity. I'm going to share a couple of really interesting statistics with you.
I would love it.
So I do a lot of work with Feeding America. So Feeding America is an amazing organization. Matter of fact, the Food Bank of the Rockies is part of the Feeding America network. Okay. So in 2020, this is the estimate: 54 million people suffer from food insecurity in 2020. Okay? 18 million of those are children. Okay, 4 out of 10 visit food banks because of COVID-related challenges. Okay, they got 40% of who are now going to food banks are COVID-related. Okay, hunger, as we all know, can make an amazing impact, both physically and mentally in your life. Right? The food industry is great, but we've got a long road to really correct some things. 40% of what is produced in the US goes to waste. Okay. If you think about that. So that's, it could be a lot of things. It could be, expired food that is disposed of prior to being distributed through a network. It's vegetables that aren't quite pretty enough for grocery stores. So interestingly enough, Middle Tennessee works hand in hand with the Second Harvest. They saved, this will blow your mind. They worked and saved millions of pounds of green beans that were too small, too short for a grocery store to sell. So they repurposed that and gave that to the community of people that needed food. Okay, it would have been thrown away. Today, sometimes it's more expensive to harvest a crop than it is a farmer would just let it kind of fail in the ground and turn back the nutrients to the earth. So those are all the reasons why 40% of what we produce goes unused, wasted. Okay. And there's some really cool organizations like Beyond Beautiful. They'll take a scarred vegetable, a scarred produce item, and then give it to a food bank. Some really progressive food management companies are now requiring their food distributors to partner up with this and distribute this less than beautiful produce item so it doesn't go to waste. So there's some really, really cool things out there in the industry, but we need to do more faster than ever before because there's 54 million people that are depending on us to help them with their food insecurity.
Wow, man. You hear about food insecurity and people going hungry, but those stats are pretty incredible.
So it's scary. I'm going to share a couple other stats with you. You've got a really big network, right? But I broke it down to just 4 major states. Okay. So Louisiana, okay, 1 in 6 suffer food insecurity. 1 in 4 of those are children. Okay. Minnesota, 1 in 13. 1 in 9 of them are children. Wisconsin, 1 in 11. 1 in 7 are children. New York, a state that we think of, which has just tremendous wealth, right? Wall Street and the world's greatest restaurants. 1 in 9 people in New York State suffer from food insecurity. 1 in 6 of those are kids.
Wow. Gosh, those really are. That's unbelievable. I'm glad that you and all those organizations are doing something proactive. And I know NAFM. I mean, NAFM's this has been, Dee and Charlie and the whole NAFM board's big mission, right? Matching funds to Feeding America that its members contribute.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So it's people always ask, how do I get involved? And everyone writes a check. Checks are great. Don't get me wrong. These Feeding America organizations, Food Bank of the Rockies, they love donations. But it's as simple as this. When you're at the grocery store, grab an extra can of green beans. Grab a box of macaroni and cheese. When you're at the cashier, ask the cashier to donate that to a local food shelf. It doesn't take a moment of your time, and that 1 can of food that is distributed to a local food bank, and most every grocery store has a food bank that they've partnered with, that makes lasting impact. It's $1, it's $2. So the average meal across the country without donations costs $3.43 to feed somebody with food insecurity. However, when you look at like Food Bank of the Rockies, they have so many donations from corporate donors that their average meal only costs $1 to create a meal. $1 because of all the donations of people just taking that single can, donating it through their cashier at the grocery store, and it doesn't take a moment of time.
Wow. I love that little tidbit. An easy to do that next time we're all at the store, we can grab a couple things. Thanks for giving us that. Chris Jeans, that stat blows my mind. 54 million people is far more than the entire population of Canada. You're doing amazing work, Chris.
Thank you. Yeah, it is scary, and it's so even scarier statistics. If you really want some mind blows here, 70% of 2-year institution students suffer from food insecurity. 70%.
Whoa.
They have to make a choice between tuition, rent, or food. 70%. 61% of students in a 4-year university suffer from that same food insecurity. This is not a poor person's problem.
Right.
Food insecurity is where you have to make a choice of rent or food. Okay. And it affects people. I live in a small little community called Motivator. It's a nice community. I am floored at how many people regularly go to our food bank. Now, I don't know who all the people are because it's a private matter. But I know how much we donate every year. Our Lions organization donates to the food shelf, and we can't donate enough. So there is tremendous demand. And these aren't people that are homeless. These are people that could be my neighbor, who something happens in their world that they now have to make choices. So.
And of course, that's hard. I'm, when you're used to living a certain way and then things change and you've got to go to a food bank, I'm sure that's hard. But I love that there are so many people doing so many things. NAFM included, your community, the Lions. It's making a huge difference. Waste is hard. This is Quentin, our buddy Quentin. Yeah. Waste is hard to watch. The contrast is stark between food insecure people and daily waste due to overstock or just not up to snuff.
So it's interesting. I'll share one of the early stories or one of the early life lessons I had from Victor. Remember, most of my learnings happened in a dish room. And Victor is an immigrant, family from Mexico, trying to work to save money. He was hungry. I know he was. He shared a house with a group of other immigrants. Okay, he didn't live paycheck to paycheck because his paycheck went to Mexico for his family. Um, and in a dish room, you see all this waste come back. People eating, a portion of their meal and then sending it back. Not sending it back to get redone, sending it back to the dishwasher to be thrown in the garbage. Okay. Victor never had a bad day in his life. But Victor turned to me once. He said, I can't believe how many people don't like our food. And I said, Victor, it's not that they don't like their food. They just have never had to make choice between eating everything and not, right? Because it was really scary when somebody's like, it's amazing how much food is thrown away. And they made a choice to throw it away. So
right.
Those who have ever seen me eat know, first of all, it's a sport for me. Okay. And second of all, there's never anything left on my plate. Okay. Victor taught me that no matter how bad the food is, you eat everything because there's somebody who just doesn't have a choice. I still eat Brussels sprouts that day, telling myself that I have to eat these because there's somebody who doesn't have this choice. I hate Brussels sprouts.
I think it's an awesome example for all of us to commit to things like that really do matter. And thank God for Victor in your life. I mean, the stories you've told tonight about Victor, who you haven't seen in years, who you met when you were a kid. Yes.
13 years old. So.
Wow. I'm really grateful for Victor in your world.
Yeah, I am too.
Who's this? This must be Mark. Ditto. I was telling the story about my visit to North Dakota the other day, the hockey rink. Who's this? Let's see. Well, I can't quite. Oh, that's Joe Riccardi.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Joe...
it's in Notre Dame. That's where he was.
Oh, Notre Dame, not North Dakota.
Yeah.
Got it. Kim Worley's in the house. Chris is top notch.
Hey, Kim. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Kim. Good to see you. This is awesome. Who is this? I bet this. Oh, Carcione. Two very close friends. Need to do some homework that I have no clue how to do for my kids. Joe, I hope you passed 6th grade, buddy. Or, whatever it is. Chris and I have been friends for 10 plus years and is one of my closest friends. I've learned more tonight about Chris than any Honolulu date night dinner. Miss you all. Be safe and healthy. Joe, we love you, man. You're a great friend, and good luck on the homework, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris. Were you saying something?
No, I just appreciate him joining. So.
No kidding. Who have been, we're often the byproduct of the people we surround ourselves with. Mm-hmm. Who are some of the people in your journey, Victor certainly one of them, who have been some of your greatest encouragers, or people that you've sort of, learned from or emulated?
Yeah, there's so many of them. I've been so lucky to work with some great people, to meet some great people. I don't know if I could answer that with just one or two, but I'll share a couple that really stand out that taught me a few things that I always try and remind myself every day. Barb Belongia. Barb Belongia was the vice president of sales for North Lake. She was my boss when I was a Western Regional. And ultimately, I left the group, the buying group, to take her position when she retired from the industry. And Barb taught me compassion. And I'll never forget her for that. Another one was Mike Eckelberg. And Mike Eckelberg was the Eastern Regional when I was the Western Regional. And he taught me patience. No, let me rephrase that. He taught me I need to work on patience. And I'm always thankful for that. So those two people are very special in my life. I've had some there's just so many people. I mean, I've worked with some of the greatest people in the industry, both in Middleby, outside of Middleby. I don't know. I mean, heck, how long is this for? I mean, I could go on for days of all the people I've met, and I'm thankful that are in my world. But those two stand out because it wasn't about how you have to become somebody to advance. It's how you have to become a better person to really help other people. So it was never about how do you advance, how do you move forward in a business. It's how you become better people inside of our business. So
yeah, I love it. It goes back to that. It's not about necessarily where we're going. Like, how do we serve right now? And the whole mission is service. It's caring for others, taking care of others, creating those solutions today. And if you can do that today, and then tomorrow, when tomorrow is today, if you can keep putting on a lot of todays of caring for people and serving and finding solutions, then inevitably that leads to, whether it's positions that are different or maybe with greater leadership capacity or potential, whatever those are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Finish this statement. I am happiest when
spending time with my family. Simple as that. So my son drives me nuts, but I love him to death. My wife is probably the most patient, caring woman that puts up with my shenanigans all the time. So without a doubt. So, and I'm going to dovetail that into, and I even enjoy it more when we're working to help others, whether it be Pumpkin Mania or whether it be working food bank events, a blood drive, all those things. It is probably really what gets me the most motivated.
Pretty friggin' beautiful. You don't strive to fit a mold. You make your own by melding all the experiences and wisdom that have been passed on by others.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Thank you for that comment. Someone once asked me, what was the best business book I ever read? And that was a tough one for me. And I'll tell you why, because I don't buy business books. I'll buy a technical book, how to be more proficient at Excel, how to be better at PowerPoint, something like that, something that's real technical. But I like listening and asking questions of other leaders because no book is a one-size-fits-all from a strategy perspective, for a solution-based perspective. But if you take all these, we have so many powerful leaders in our industry. If you ask them a question, they give back. They share with you how they handled that challenge or that situation. And you can take that and you can take those little sound bites and you can kind of build it into how you want to answer that challenge rather than going, well, Jack Welch told me I need to do this in a book. So great comments. And I 100% agree with you. You need to be your own person. Listen to others. But at the end of the day, it's how you answer that through all these other facets that you get through conversation.
There's a quote, gosh, I forget who said it, but I might butcher it. But it's be yourself. Everybody else is already taken.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great point. And that was Quentin. And Chris, as you tacked onto that, there's a lot of people who look around and say, I want to be that person. But you're so right. I mean, we each have this core piece of who we are. And if inevitably we try to be someone else, then we're not being authentic. And a huge part of any amount of connecting with others, of serving, of building relationships is being authentic. It's being you. And certainly incorporating those things that we learned from others. I think of it like when I was a kid, there was the different colors of Play-Doh, and you could make a ball that was like yellow and blue and green and red. And it's almost like, inevitably what's going to happen tonight, Chris, we're going to be done in a little bit and you will have given me things and I'm going to take some of these nuggets, these things that I've heard you say, and it's like I'm going to tear off a piece of that color. We'll call it red for right now, and I'm going to put it on my shoulder because I learned something tonight, and I'm going to add that to who I am. I'm not going to go try to be Chris Reeves. You're Chris Reeves. I'm going to try to be Jason Wange, and I'm going to pull that insight or that piece that I might want to change my journey a little bit to match some things that what you said, and so I hadn't thought of it that way, but pulling off things from other people all the time and incorporating into who we are. Look at this, like a salad bar of knowledge. Pick the best parts and the dressing. Boom.
I love it.
That's great. 3 things. Who's this? This is Quentin. Being yourself is self-trust that allows others to be able to trust you. What a great conversation tonight. Thanks a million. Great to have you, brother. Chris, 2 more things. 3 things on your bucket list.
That's a tough one. So I'm going to go with kind of the traditional ones. I want to take my wife to Australia. I think just the beauty of Australia is amazing from what I've seen pictures of. Okay, that's kind of something I'm interested in. And the other one, so I used to fly a lot, pre-COVID, and I went to these car rides with my wife. So we just get in a car and we drive somewhere, and she wants to go to Yellowstone. And I want to help her with that. So just hop in the car one week and just say, our end place is X, and we're just going to drive there. So I don't have really awe-inspiring bucket list items. There's one though, and I'm not there yet. Another passion I have is supporting veterans, and do a lot with the Yellow Ribbon organization, which helps deployed family members that are left in the community during active service events. Okay, and that's great. But there's a whole another set of veterans that I think a lot of people have forgotten. So, and I'm working with my father, who's a veteran, to do this at the VA hospitals and retirement homes, where we actually do a virtual car show. So we're in the early stages of it here in Minnesota, but we're going to go and we're going to have a virtual car show. So we'll talk about the cars that I've owned, my father's owned, with a slideshow, and then we're going to ask the people that participate who show for this virtual car show, what cars do they have? We're going to come back, we're going to research it, and the next week we're going to go through all the uniqueness of their cars to kind of get them engaged, because other than food offering at some of these veterans homes, there isn't a lot of excitement in the day. And unfortunately, a lot of people forget our veterans and the suffrage they had to make our country what it is. So,
Chris, that is so cool. This is, by the way, it says U.S. That's Joe Riccardi, and Facebook, it's the American flag.
Yeah.
And I love it. Joe, of course, works with our military and leads people in I think in Virginia right now, or DC, or that area, something like that, I believe. What a beautiful idea. It's something that you're mixing 2 of your passions. You're caring for a segment of the population that could use people investing in them and engaging in their passions more, and something you love. I think it's wonderful. And if you need support, I know quite a few friends who love cars in our industry, and that might be a fun outlet for them to give back and care.
We have to get through this dang COVID thing. That's the biggest challenge, right? Because I don't want to do another PowerPoint presentation to those folks. I want to sit across the table from them and hear, their stories of, oh yeah, I used to own a '53 Buick, and I remember the time that I crashed it, and all these other fun stories, and just let them talk, so I can listen.
I love it. People love sharing those moments in time that brought them joy, and gosh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Lastly, what's your definition of success?
Wow. A lot of people migrate towards financial success. I much rather be poor and happy than rich and miserable. Um, and if I can help other people be happy, that probably would be successful. That'd be success to me. So, and sometimes those little things, making somebody happy, is being there, listening to them, being the calm voice in kind of troubled times. It's not fun in our industry right now. It's very stressful. Our dealers, the end users, the operators, everyone's at wit's end. But we're all in it together. So if I can make that one person happier a day, that is probably success for me.
I think it's a beautiful definition of success.
Thank you.
Yeah. Leaving everybody in a better spot than you found them is a pretty great way, or the industry and all the people you touched along the way is a pretty rad way to do it. And let me encourage you that if that's how you define success, well, if I were going to give you feedback on if you're on target or off target in your career and your relationships, you're on target. You're doing it. There have been a couple friends who are friends with you and friends with me who shared a couple words about what you've meant to them and who you are. And this is always my favorite. Favorite. I'm going to make you. You might get uncomfortable, but it's okay. You're going to handle it. It's going to be good. Our buddy Bolton.
Bolton.
Here's what Bolton said. From the moment I was introduced to Chris via email, he has been a friendly, personable, and genuine person. Each interaction, whether you're on the phone, in a meeting, face-to-face, or at a trade show, he makes you feel appreciated. What you see is what you get with him. If you bring a challenge or a problem to him, he is always willing to help. He will give you an answer, provide a solution, or quickly get you the person who can. Chris is the type of factory guy that you always want to partner with. He is a rock star partner.
Wow. I thank you. I'm humbled at that. So thank you.
Our mutual friend Zena Dater sent me a few words about you. I met Chris over 20 years ago when we were both members of CIFA.
Yeah.
He was working at Best Restaurant Supply.
I was.
From the second we met, we hit it off. I knew I had a friend for life. He is so sharp and brings so much to the industry. Chris is something special. His enthusiasm is contagious, and you cannot help but want to be around him. If you do not know him, you get to know him. You will not regret it. Chris has helped me become a better me.
Wow.
He is an amazing teacher of our industry, and I cannot wait to see what the future has in store for him. Chris, I will always have your back as you have always had mine. I love you, my friend.
Yeah, love you too. Thank you very much for that.
Our buddy, Mark Rossi.
Oh, Mark.
I have known Chris for 15 years or more. It's always nice to have an advocate on the factory side that understands the plight of the dealer. Since Chris has been on both sides of that fence, he adds a ton of value, and I always feel comfortable knowing he's on the case. I appreciate his candor, his friendship, and his willingness and effectiveness in helping find solutions for us and our customers. And we all know, especially during this time, how important it is to work with partners that not only deliver, but that you can trust. I appreciate you, Reeves.
Yeah, that's very kind. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I got one more for you. One more. Okay. John Peruccio.
Oh, no. JP. This should be good. By the way, he can't join us tonight because it's his birthday tomorrow. So
he'll get it on YouTube. He'll find it.
All right.
Chris is one of the greatest people that I have worked with. Chris took on the hardest job ever in the world. He filled my prior position when I was promoted and running the company. He observed, he learned, he listened, And then he applied his years of knowledge and skill and has grown the program, which has elevated our company in the food service world. Chris is not only a great sales leader, but he is also an amazing human being. He is always making sure to take care of others and to give back. It is a unique blend of respect and concern for others that spills over into Chris's work life that allows him to be successful because he treats everyone in every situation in the manner as he would want himself. He has won many awards from his peers and customers that he services as being fair and ethical yet direct. He is a special person to get to share part of your life with, and I'm lucky that our paths have crossed. He's always looking to find the win-win in any relationship.
Wow, thanks, JP. I mean, that means a lot because he's an amazing individual. Those who have never met John Peruccio, you need to meet John Peruccio. Just a tremendous guy. So
I joked, I've been trying to get him on for a while, and I said the other day, I said, hey, just remember the invitation's still here. And he goes, all right, when you expect ratings to be low, or he goes something like that. Chris, listen, tonight has meant a lot to me. I'll say your commitment to having time in your schedule to diverting things that you and your family were used to doing and coming closer together in a new path through service and caring for community. I think it's really affected me in this hour. And I would tell you, if I were going to take part of your red Play-Doh and put it on me, I'm excited to see how our family can engage with one another and come closer together by caring for others in a really purposeful and connected way. And it's not something we're as intentional about. And so I'm really glad we got to talk, because I'm sure it's going to change us and affect us. And there have been many people watching tonight. I gotta tell you, man, the draw that you got, despite the national championship being on, is impressive. So thanks for doing that, because I can tell you our journey is going to be different because of it.
Well, Jason, I want to merge our two loves. Obviously the food, the food service power plant network is obviously your love. One of mine is food insecurity. So we made a donation to the food bank in Colorado. John Peruccio, Southbend, and Middleby matched the donation. So we donated $1,000 in your name, in the network's name, to the food bank in Colorado. Now, let me tell you some interesting statistics. I love statistics, right?
Yeah.
So we worked with Aaron Poling, who's the CEO of the food bank there, along with Pam Vigil. And I want to say, okay, what does this mean? You donate money. Let's put it in like real, tangible, something we can really understand. So you've heard of Stanley Hotel, right? In
Sure.
Colorado. Okay, 140-room hotel. The impact that donation had in your name, 140-room hotel. Imagine a family of 4 in each room. Okay, the donation fed everybody in that hotel, family of 4, up to 2 meals a day. So, I mean, that's how far a little bit of money can go to make a difference inside the organization, inside of a food bank. So I hope that every member of the network just grabs 1 can of green beans, 1 can of corn, anything like that. Just give it to the cashier when you check out. Have them donate it to a food shelf. It makes a difference. It really does.
Wow. Chris, there are so many nuggets of small change that we can make. Very simple change.
Absolutely.
And man, thank you so much for donating to Food Bank of the Rockies on behalf of the Power Plant Network, and Middleby matching that, and John and everything you guys are doing. That is, probably the coolest thing that's happened in the Power Plant Network, to be honest. And
just keep on, just give back to the community every day you can. So it's a great feeling. So,
gosh, we'll keep doing it. You are awesome, Chris. Great conversation tonight. That's Samantha Flores, Sam.
Thank you, Samantha.
Bunch of clapping. Alyssa, hey friend. our buddy Chris Jeans, another brilliant conversation. JW, Chris, thank you for sharing. Love it. Chris, you are amazing. Xena Dater. Gosh, love it. Food Bank of Colorado. Great. Oh, so cool. Y'all are getting me teared up tonight. Who's this one? Yeah, you and me both, Benton. Hey, if here's another one. Love helping others. Thanks. This is Alyssa. Thanks for supporting my state during this time of need. No kidding. Gosh.
Here's an interesting thing too. When you look for organizations, you want every dollar to go back to the programs as much as possible. The Food Bank of the Rockies, through Feeding America, 96% of every dollar donated goes directly to food programs. It's one of the highest rated percentage in the industry. So those who live in Colorado, if you have an extra $5, you have an extra $10, if that doesn't work for you, pick up a can of green beans. That's all it takes. 79 cents makes a difference.
Gosh, I love it. I had no idea. It's I didn't know how impactful probably Food Bank of the Rockies was.
Yeah.
And the fact that they get so much food that they can feed people on, for so inexpensively, which is amazing.
It's about $1.
Right.
Yeah.
Gosh, this is awesome. 96% is so strong. That's awesome. Rusty Gilmore. Yo, Rusty. Gosh, who's this? Stephanie Gilbert Martin. Learned so much, Chris. Thank you for sharing. I learned so much. Chris, there's so much you taught us tonight. The statistics are so powerful and things I had no idea about. It really, it opens my mind to so much.
Mind-blowing.
Food Service Power Plant Network. Listen, I bet, I don't know if you can see my page, but here's my notes all at the top, right? There's my notes from our time with Chris tonight. Hopefully you got a lot of notes. Hopefully you got some simple and quick to-dos, easy things, small changes that you can make to profoundly impact your community and know that what you're doing is making a difference. And you heard Chris talk about when he and his family came together and decided to serve, what it did for them as a family, and knowing that they were doing something good. So I would encourage you, get that can of green beans or whatever that can is and hand it to the grocer on the way out, buy it and give it back. If you can donate, if you can go serve at a local food bank, or maybe there's an organization to be a part of, go do it. Keep serving this industry. What we do, we are people, hospitality, food service, that I think our primary role is taking care of others is what we do. We help people build dreams through restaurants. We help people eat, etc. We take care of others. And here's another great example and opportunity to do that. If you are, Chris also mentioned, right now is a hard time to do kind of what we do, to be in our industry. It's hard for the operators. It's hard for the distributors. It's hard for so many people. Can't get raw materials, all the things. There's a lot of challenges along the way. Know that if you'll go ahead, Chris. If you are in a particularly tough time right now, know that, of course you are, that it's challenging. And if you find yourself in a dark place, or you find yourself struggling with energy when you wake up out of bed in the morning, your job right now is to keep going. Remember, we all go through challenging periods, times where we can't see that light at the end of the tunnel, where we don't know what's next, where at times we lose hope. We've all been there. And keep moving. Remember to connect with someone you trust or care about, who you can share your story with. That burden isn't meant to be carried alone. And keep working your way through it. Always reach out. There's, whether you need a coach, a therapist, if you just need a friend, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Chris. You can message me, whatever you need. We're happy to listen. And we have so many people in our group that are willing to listen and care. So keep going. We're going to keep doing this together. This is the whole point of the Food Service Power Plant Network and of these live conversations, is to know that you're not in it alone and that we'll keep going. Arm in arm, because as the analogy says, the lone tree is scared of the hurricane, but the forest mocks the upcoming winds, right? The incoming winds, like, we're arm in arm. You're not taking us out, and you're not taking us out, as hard as it is. So let that be in your encouragement. Next week, by the way, we are going to have Tom Mitchell, president of MOFSI, Rob Connolly, president of NAFM. We're going to get pumped up for the MOFSI conference and talk about all that's going on. We're going to do MOFSI conference is on. We'll be there in 2 weeks, and they're going to talk about all the things that are upcoming to get excited for that. Chris, listen, man, epically grateful for you, for your service, for your example, for the lessons learned, for your authenticity in ways you're continuing to grow and evolve and learn. You were a really great guest and a really great example for our industry.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for letting me join you tonight.
You've got it, brother. Everybody, thanks for being with us. Thanks for the love. Great to be with you. Have a great night.